and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
If you've been watching the channel, you'll know that I'm a huge Ippo fan. That much is obvious once you realize this channel is named after an Ippo character. It's one anime that ages like fine wine. As I get older, I appreciate how the story is crafted more and more. Another boxing related franchise I adore is the Punch-Out games. Punch-Out Wii is quite possibly my favorite Wii game of all time. The simple mechanics, the tense fights, and the thinly veiled racism made it a game perfectly crafted towards my taste. I'm honestly really disappointed Nintendo never made a game for the Switch. It would have fit the console perfectly. I'm so desperate for Punch-Out content, I had to take matters into my own hands. One day I got the bright idea to combine these two boxing worlds. I wanted to find out the answer to the big question. Could Ippo survive Punch-Out Wii? Would he have the skills to conquer the WVBA? Does he have the feats to take down fighters double his size? Will he have what it takes to finally be champion of the world? It's time for us to figure that out. But before we begin, I'm going to have to warn you about spoilers. I'll bring up a few feats and events from the manga, so proceed with caution. We're going through each fighter one by one, starting with Glass Joe. One of the most pitiful fighters in video game history. A boxer with a record so horrible, I truly don't understand why they still let him fight. He's the human equivalent of the first Goomba in Mario, a pathetic worm meant to be stomped on. He's the tutorial fight, so all of his punches are slow and predictable. He'll rarely ever block punches, allowing himself to get slapped around. There's nothing going for him at all. Hell, he's so incompetent at boxing, I can beat his ass. But unfortunately, I don't think Ippo can win this one. Wait. Hear me out for a second. If Ippo were to actually punch Glass Joe, he would fucking kill him. The Frenchie's skull is gonna crack open and he's gonna die from a hemorrhage. They're gonna revoke Ippo's boxing license. He's never touching the ring again. However, the WVBA lets its fighters get away with anything, bro. So it's pretty likely they'll allow a few murders, right? Rest in peace, Joey boy. Another grade A jobber. He's pretty much a Glass Joe sequel. The average person with no fighting experience would be able to take him out. The guy was getting humiliated by children. Using manga Ippo would honestly be overkill. I'm positive that an amateur Ippo, after beating Miata, could take him on. This guy literally cries out for his mommy if you hit him too hard. Mommy! Grown ass man, by the way. This guy is 42 years of age, acting like a sissy little bitch. Maybe it's the war trauma or something. There's no way this guy's touching Ippo at all. His little head twitches before he punches, making it obvious when he's gonna attack. Ippo's speed would be far too much for him to handle anyways. There's not much else to say about him. It goes without saying Ippo would destroy him. Our first somewhat competent boxer on this list. He's still no match for our boy though. He may be the first opponent with some testosterone in his system, but the guy is a complete goofball. If Von Kaiser's biggest issue was that he was an anxious scaredy cat, Disco Kid's problem is that he's the complete opposite. He's far too full of himself and constantly showboats. He's far too distracted in showing off his dance moves to actually throw a punch. So this should be a quick fight, right? There's still an issue. Now is a good time to bring up Ippo's biggest obstacle within this challenge. Weight classes. There are none. Apparently the WVBA is run by masochistic monsters that want to see their fighters get concussions. Disco Kid is damn near double Ippo's size. Plus the groovy dude is far taller than him, giving him the reach advantage. It should be a lot harder for Ippo to win this fight, if it weren't for one thing. Punch-Out characters are stupid. Disco Kid shares a weakness that a vast majority of the other fighters have. They telegraph their attacks. Disco Kid is probably the most blatant example of this. He quite literally gives you a warning before he strikes.
Here he comes. Oh.
Weight gaps aren't going to be too much of an issue yet. Ippo has knocked out a welterweight during sparring, and that was early in his career. He's now far stronger than he's ever been. I'm absolutely certain that he could rough him up despite the weight difference, especially since he's way faster and an experienced infighter. He slipped through his punches with ease and knocked him out. Okay, this is a huge leap in difficulty. This one is actually going to be a harsh matchup for Ippo. King Hippo is a gargantuan. His weight isn't even able to be calculated on a scale. Just a few punches from him and it's going to be lights out for Ippo. But as I said before, these characters make their attacks too obvious. Hippo will raise his arm and slowly punch, and he'll back up and lift his arms for a big attack, leaving himself wide open for a counterattack. Another weakness of his is that his pants keep on falling down. Whenever he's punched in the gut, his underwear gets exposed. Each time a hit lands, he'll clumsily lift his pants back up. This gives Ippo plenty of time to get some good hits on him. The biggest weakness Hippo has besides his speed is his weight. If he gets knocked over once, he'll roll his way out of the ring. If he tips over, Ippo would be victorious. Ippo has to be on the defensive for this fight, and being on the defensive is something he does pretty well most of the time. I can see him struggling in the beginning but progressively getting the right tempo later on. It'll likely be the first fight that he'll enter the second round for. For Ippo to win, he'd have to whip out the Dempsey roll. Hippo would not be able to keep up with his movements at all, and the Dempsey should have enough force to knock him off his feet. A tough fight, but still a winnable one. Ippo gets to meet one of his fellow countrymen. But for a Japanese boxer, Hondo's a lot heavier than expected. Ippo's going to have to get used to fighting dudes heavier than him from here on out. Luckily for him, this fight is going to be way easier than King Hippo. Hondo has a very obvious tell where he twitches his eyebrow every time he's about to punch. Ippo will pick up on that pretty early on into the fight. Hondo also has the tendency to bow during matches, leaving himself open. However, I don't think Ippo would actually punch him considering he's also Japanese. Knowing Ippo, he'll probably bow along with him. But Hondo's biggest weakness is ironically his special move. He takes way too long to start it up, so he's completely vulnerable. And if you counter punch him at the right time, he's instantly knocked down. With Ippo's speed, he'd be able to exploit this weakness easily. Another fairly simple fight. Oh man, this one's gonna require a lot of suffering. This fight would be pretty similar to King Hippo. Just like King Hippo, Bear Hugger is one robust bastard. Ippo cannot block his attacks. He must avoid everything thrown at him or it's over. Unlike King Hippo, Bear Hugger can actually get up. One knockdown isn't gonna be enough. This match would last until at least the end of the second round. Bear Hugger's weakness is that he has some long windups to his punches. Ippo can either dodge or counter attack when necessary. To win, Ippo would have to focus more on knocking him down rather than knocking him out. He'd have to spam the Dempsey roll a few times to keep pushing him down. As long as he can do that, he should be able to come out on top. Great Tiger is very tricky. He's the one fighter with supernatural powers. Being able to teleport will trip Ippo up badly and catch him off guard. I can see him floundering around trying to hit Tiger to no avail. Ippo would not be used to all this mystical magic flying at him. It will take a while for him to adjust. The saving grace here is the gem on Great Tiger's turban. It shines as he's about to teleport. Once Ippo realizes this, he'll have a heads up to prepare. At first I was debating whether or not Ippo could teleport Tiger's mirages. Then I looked closely at some game footage. I saw that Little Mac turns his head towards the real one, confirming that Great Tiger can be distinguished from his clones with the human eye. I believe that Ippo's speed feats really help him out here. He's comparable to characters like Itagaki and Miyata in speed. Both have demonstrated superhuman levels of speed. Ippo has gotten dramatically faster after retirement due to his weights. I'm sure he can react fast enough to claim victory. After a streak of difficult fights, Ippo can finally catch a break. Don has a very impressive feat of knocking a bull into the air, though the guy will only try to hit you after you've thrown a punch. Ippo hasn't brutalized any animals, but his powers should still be comparable. Takamura has knocked out a bear and lifted up a truck with ease, and Ippo was able to arm wrestle him and make him struggle. Don has the same syndrome as other fighters of yelling when he's about to attack. Ippo shouldn't really have trouble with this guy. The fight might get slightly harder if Ippo knocks off his toupee, but it's nothing Ippo can't handle. I'm not as confident for this match, primarily because Aaron Ryan is a very dirty fighter. His headbutts would catch Ippo off guard and leave him disoriented. He's prone to throwing sudden counter punches after you hit him. He's always jittering around and constantly moving, making his movements hard to follow. And the most glaring issue is the horseshoes in his gloves. These will critically injure Ippo and could potentially damage his skull. Add that onto the fact that this could potentially damage Ippo's brain more than it already has been. I could see Ippo's punch drunk symptoms returning after being struck a couple times, and Ippo in this state will be unable to react as well as he usually does. It'll only be a matter of time until Ryan beats him to a pulp. I hate to say it, but this is most likely Ippo's first loss. Now I could end the video right here, but that would be no fun. We have to see how Ippo would fare against the rest. Oh jeez, this circuit is gonna be hell, isn't it? Soda Popimski is one of the few fighters who doesn't telegraph their attacks. He fights like, you know, a regular boxer, so he'd be able to actually land some punches unlike others. Prospects look even worse since he's double Ippo's weight, coupled with the fact that he's the tallest character in the entire game. Ippo's a really strong dude, but he struggles taking out guys within his own weight class. I've already proven he's capable of knocking down a welterweight, but it's difficult for me to picture him beating someone like Soda. King Hippo, Bear Hugger, and Disco Kid were all heavyweights, but Ippo had advantages against them. Hippo and Hugger were slow and clumsy, so they were outclassed by a ridiculous gap in speed, and Disco Kid was a shitty boxer who clowned around too much. Soda is a legit boxer who is more powerful than all of these guys combined. Even if Ippo does some good damage on him, he could just heal his wounds with a soda. What the hell is even in that drink anyways? Unfortunately, Ippo just isn't built for this fight. Man, my boy just can't catch a break. Bald Bull may have telegraphed attacks, but sometimes he can throw you off with his timing. And on occasion, he'll release a quick uppercut that will rock your world. The Raging Madman is an absolute tank, weighing in at a whopping 300 pounds. 300 pounds of muscle, I might add. He can recover from Little Max combos way quicker than anyone else. Luckily for Ippo, the guy has a weakness. He can't take gut punches very well. As Bald Bull finishes charging up his rush, he can be counterpunched in the stomach for an instant KO. Unluckily for Ippo, he only does this once a round. I can't imagine Ippo making it that far into the second round. Bald Bull will probably have him looking a mess by the end of the first. Ippo would need some extreme willpower or divine luck to even endure this one. It's another sad sight to see. Surprisingly, this is a better matchup than the last three. Don't get me wrong, it will still be very hard, especially considering Macho Man's huge size and stature. The guy has some punishing strength, doing some of the highest damage in the entire game. The Hollywood star shares the same weakness as Disco Kid, predictable attacks and showboating behavior. His uppercuts have a fair share of windup to him, so it's simpler to react to. The only punches I can see causing some trouble are his top bang hook and his macho spin. Ippo would probably get knocked out once or twice by the spin of his clotheslines. I see this fight as a matter of endurance. If Ippo can go the distance, he might be able to win by decision. Then again, Macho Man could take the victory or even permanently knock him out with a spin. I could see Ippo winning about 45% of the time, making this match our first toss-up. The moment you all been waiting for. In this final battle, Ippo will have to face his most terrifying challenge yet. A big black man. Ippo, I love you, buddy, but it's GG's. Sandman is a perfect amalgamation of every challenge Ippo had to face times 100. He's damn near the same weight as Bald Bull. He's basically the same height as Soda Popimski. He has more destructive power than Super Macho Man. And he beat all of those guys without a scratch on him. The champ doesn't resort to any cheap tricks or bullshit abilities. He's just a really amazing boxer. He'll bonk your cranium with a mean overhead. He'll unleash jet fast uppercuts when you least expect it. He's the only boxer in this game that actually puts his guard up when he's getting punched in the face. And he'll weave if you try to punch him during his special move, leaving you vulnerable to his flurry of devastating uppercuts. But none of what I just said could compare to his ultimate feat. This nigga demolished an entire building with his bare hands. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize the Punch-Out universe had Baki characters. You could argue that this feat belongs to the title defense version of Sandman, but I disagree. Sandman didn't train or anything before he destroyed the building. This implies that he was always capable of doing this. His rage towards Little Mac was just what he needed to drive him to actually do it. Kamogawa would 100% have to throw in the towel for this fight. If Ippo fights this guy any longer than he should, he'll end up disabled in the hospital. Or at the very worst, he'll end up like Joe. If you haven't played Punch-Out, you're probably confused as to why there's so much video left. There's this title defense mode that gives your opponents improved abilities, increasing the difficulty. I thought it would be interesting to see if Ippo could still fare against the opponents he beat already. I won't be covering any character I said Ippo would already lose to. If he can't beat them in their base form, there's no way he can handle their transformations. Alright, let's see if my goat can get his wins up. I'm not gonna spend too much time on this one. Joey is still pretty much the same except his head is protected. Ippo's punches have shattered people's ribs. It looks like Joey's gonna have to die a second time. Von Kaiser is also mostly the same, with small changes in his attacks here and there. The only notable thing to bring up is his windmill punch. It might catch Ippo off guard, but I think he'll be able to avoid it majority of the time. Another pretty easy win. This guy still hasn't learned his lesson. He can't help but groove in the middle of the fight. He also can't help getting his ass beat. Okay, now we're back to having a challenge. Besides being slightly faster, Hippo has a whole manhole cover on his fat ass belly. It's being held up by 3 strands of tape. As long as the tape is broken, the cover will fall off. This one depends on whether or not Ippo can get it off in time. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt here. I think he could be able to do it 65% of the time. And from there on out, it's pretty much the same fight. A Dempsey should be able to do the trick. And there goes our comeback. Hondo is quite faster this time. He's so fast that he can keep up with a fucking bullet train. As fast as Ippo is, I really don't think he can react to Bullet Train's speed. If he had more definitive feats during his retirement, then we could have something here. But he still hasn't officially fought in a professional match and his true power is still under speculation right now. I'm gonna have to give this one to Hondo. This fight is pretty much identical, except for when he shows off his little squirrel buddy sometimes. Same game plan as last time. Like last time, his gem exposes what he's about to do next. He does get this cool new special. This will shock Ippo at first and he'll probably get hit a couple times. But as I stated before, he should be able to determine the right clone. Another dub for Ippo. He's a bit harder this time around. The lover boy is faster with his counters and he has added a new backhand to his arsenal. Unfortunately, he still loves to yell out his attacks. Ippo will be far too familiar with how he fights by now. I gave Ippo a lot of leeway last time, and it's not gonna happen again in this rematch. The Super Macho Man actually locks in and his onslaughts are brutal. His speed increases a whole lot too, so he'll unleash a vicious combo. His explosive uppercuts will surely leave Ippo bruised and battered. Sorry dude, Macho Man is too much of a Chad. Okay, that should be everyone. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. What the actual fuck? Yeah, Donkey Kong is a secret boss in this game. I don't exactly know why, but fuck it, I guess. So can Ippo beat? No. I'm not even gonna do a long-winded explanation for this one. Donkey Kong has punched the moon out of orbit. He'll smack Ippo and kill him instantly. His movements are far too sporadic and unorthodox to reliably dodge. Rest in peace, Ippo. Huh. I have this weird feeling I'm forgetting a certain someone. Someone who's the face of this game. Someone who spent their entire lives pushing themselves to the limit. Someone who can use a powerful star punch. Wait, I remember now. It's Doc Lu. Look, I'm one of the biggest Ippo glazers on earth. I adore that guy a lot, but I would be a goddamn liar if I thought he could beat Little Mac. Little Mac has canonically beaten all the dudes Ippo couldn't beat, including Donkey Kong. That's insane. This nigga cannot be human. There's a negative chance Ippo can win this fight. Little Mac just has this cartoonish level of strength that Ippo will never reach in his life. There's one thing I find funny about this matchup though. Little Mac is actually taller than Ippo. So not only does he have the better feats, but he also has the height advantage for once in his life. Good for him. 15 wins, 8 losses. Honestly, that's a lot better than I thought he would do. Maybe sometime in the future when he comes out of retirement, I can remake this video. He can rack up some more feats for next time. If you have any issues with how I scaled Ippo, or if you think I made a mistake, let me know. I want to see what fights you think Ippo could win. Thanks so much for the support on the last video, by the way. It went crazy. See you next time. Bye bye. Nigga, damn, leave already.